Hey everybody, that's right. Welcome back to the Bowfishing Buzz, brought to you by AMS Bowfishing and
Megamouth Bowfishing as well.
My name is Matthew, and of course I'm here with my good buddy DD Schmitty.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sporting the backwards hat today. You got for like speed today. We get the hat backwards.
I am about as aerodynamic as I physically can be right now with the backwards hat. I will say, if anyone out there listens to The Herd with Colin Cowherd, they'll understand this. He does not approve. He does not approve of the backwards hat. So.
Speaking of backwards hats, I can remember years and years ago, 25 plus years ago when I was playing softball a lot.
Okay.
We were playing a lot of softball tournaments. I always wore my hat backwards. That's just the way I always wore my hat. When we were little, we always rode bikes, and I always had my hat backwards.
Yep.
Otherwise, my hat would always fly off.
Yep.
I just always wore my hat backwards like that.
I never see you with one on now, hat backwards.
When I'm driving a boat, I'll do it once in a while.
Okay, sure.
But we were playing in a tournament, and we were beating this team that was a little older than us, and we were like the young kids. And I think he thought that I was cocky or something, but I wasn't cocky. It's just the way I wore my hat.
Okay.
And he did not like that I had my hat on backwards.
What? This is just a player on the opposing team?
Correct.
Really?
Yeah, he did not like I had my hat on backwards. He was like I said, I don't know if he thought we were a bunch of young cocky kids, but it's just the way I always wore it.
Yeah. Plus, who cares? Who cares?
Yeah. And it's not because I was fast. Because I am not fast. I like running molasses when I try to run.
I don't know about that because there's been a couple times for everybody listening when Matt and I are out ice fishing and a tip-up goes up. It's like Usain Bolt all of a sudden takes across the ice. It's crazy. Oh, yeah. But, those older people, they don't like the backwards hat.
No, they didn't care for that backwards hat on.
And just to touch on, you said, hey, my name's Matthew, and I'm here with my good buddy D. Schmitty.
Yeah.
There's a funny story. We've been doing some calls. And I've been calling some people, some customers and whatnot, customer service, whatever we got to call people for. It shocks me. And if you were doing it, you'd have the same thing. But I'll be talking to someone and all of a sudden they'll go, yeah, so I was wondering, wait, is this, are you Schmitty from the podcast? It just makes my day.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes,
that's
I
really
am.
cool.
And thank you so much for listening.
Absolutely.
That's spectacular.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's cool that we get recognized. No one knows my real name. No one knows Derek.
No, they always know what.
They just know Schmitty. They'd be like, "Hey, I'm Derek." They'd be like, "Who? I don't know. I don't know who that is." Hey, I'm Schmitty. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. Cool. But yeah, very cool.
And we've got a great podcast today, Schmitty.
Yeah, we do.
We've got a special guest on that made a pretty big accomplishment a couple of weeks ago.
Oh yeah, big splash in the bowfishing world.
We've got Lance Brantley, the captain of Team On Track Bowfishing on. And him and his teammates, David Waddell and Noah Brewer, they just won the Bass Pro U.S. Open Bowfishing Tournament.
What?
Yeah.
How cool is that?
$30,000 cool.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah. With the big 20 weight of 644 pounds. That's a 32.2 pound average for everybody out there. And here's a cool thing about it, Derek.
Yeah.
This is Lance's first year on AMS Pro staff.
Something's telling me he's probably going to be on staff again next year.
I went out with Lance last year, bowfishing. I knew of them before, you know.
Yep.
And Dennis has told me about them, and so we talked over the off season about getting them on pro staff, and we got them all signed up on pro staff and whatnot, and that's a pretty big accomplishment right there.
Oh God, yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah,
and it's AMS staffers to pull out first place. That's pretty damn cool.
Yeah. And speaking of AMS staffers, I got to brag a little bit because we had staffers took first place in the U.S. Open.
Yep.
And then last year's champions, Teams Descalin, their captain, Ryan Devine, couldn't make the tournament. He had to work. They had a plant shut down, so he had to work. So you had Tyler Devine, Sawyer York, and Travis Spiceland.
Okay.
They finished fourth this year, Derek.
Heck yeah.
With, 486.80 pounds in their big 20 weight.
Wow.
And that's hard to do.
Oh, yeah.
You look at that, so last year they took first place, and it was down in Missouri. Total different waters. This year it's in Nashville. Total different waters than what they were shooting in last year. And for them to still put up a top five, finishing in fourth there, that's a good accomplishment there.
Yeah. And that's so cool that AMS is represented first and fourth place out of all these. I mean, I don't know how many boats are in the tournament, Matt, but I mean, this is a huge tournament. Yeah. It's absolutely huge. We went with a fishing guide. This is just it'll tie into this, but we went with a fishing guide up northern Wisconsin here a couple of years ago. And he made the point about how he thinks, and he wasn't bragging about it, but he said that he thinks he can go to any given body of water, and just based off of his lifetime of knowledge of knowing what the fish are doing in that time of year or what the structure of the lake is like, he's confident that he can go to a body of water he's never fished before and outfish a lot of people who maybe fish that body of water all the time. Okay, because he said a lot of people will fish memories. They'll go back to the same spots, and they're not continually learning. When you got guys like Divine here, we got Lance, these are the kind of guys that, I mean, I think you can probably plop them anywhere. And yeah, you might not get a first place finish, but they have such a knowledge base on where to find fish. It's out of this world. It's a really cool thing to be able to, like you just said, it was in a totally different area last year. And they still had a top, they finished first last year, fourth this year. Lance takes first this year. That's just such a cool aspect that once you do it, and if you're good at it, put the work in.
Start putting notes together, and you start figuring things out.
Little mental notes that you remember. That's very cool. So congrats to those guys. Fantastic job. That's very cool. That's very cool. Matt, you were on the water this weekend, correct?
I was. Yes, I was,
the WBA Castle Rock Pete and Wall tourney. You just want to touch on that a little bit?
Well, after last season, I kind of told Jody and the team that I shoot with, I'm like, and I don't know if I want to be so hardcore driven shooting in tournaments. I don't want to spend a lot of time scouting. I just don't want to do. I don't want to do that anymore. I mean, I'll still do it for some tournaments, but I just don't want to be that hardcore driven anymore.
Sure.
And so we did scout a little bit. We scouted Thursday night. Al Brusky and I, and Jody and Trace were down on the other body of water. We were finding fish, but not the fish we were wanting to find, and they weren't really finding much down there. So I'm like, hey, whatever, let's wing it, Let's just wing it. I don't care. I don't care anymore. I'm just going there to have fun and shoot some fish with guys at nighttime, and, I'm just there for a good time. So we kind of flip-flopped our plans and started a spot first. We were going to end up last.
Oh, okay.
We just kind of flip-flopped our goals or what we were going to do.
Yep.
And I think that hurts a little bit because we went into our first spot, and we got there, and I looked at the tree line, and I was like, I turned around and looked at Jody right when I pointed at the trees. I'm like, that's not good.
Uh-oh. I think I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, you could see where the water had gone down 8 inches.
Oh, my gosh.
10 inches.
From how long of a time frame are you talking? Like pretty recently?
24 hours.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, you could just see that timeline, and, man, there was a couple stragglers in there, but everything else kind of shot out.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. So now we stayed in there a little bit, and here's the thing with the Wisconsin Bowfishing Association Big 20. It's a Big 30 actually.
Okay.
So you have your commons and your buffs, which account for your Big 20.
Okay.
Basically.
Yep.
And then you can have 10 bonus fish.
I got you.
Dogfish, quillback, suckers. So if you figure, so you get your 20 commons. If you can get 10, 6, 7, 8, 9 pound bonus fish, that's a lot of weight added to your big 20 weight. So we went out there and we shot some of our bonus fish. We got our 10 bonus fish. Then we started driving around and stuff. And I tell you what, Schmitty, I would have never guessed we went to Castle Rock. We shot 2 fish.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
we shot a buff and a common.
Wow.
Yeah.
Were there a lot of boats? I mean, were you in and around a lot of
boats?
boats?
Well, that was our no, there was boats around, but not what I expected, for Castle Rock.
Sure.
But it was 2 o'clock in the morning when we got there, 1:30 in the morning, 12 o'clock or whatever. But everybody had kind of pulled out, and they were when you see boats running, zoom, zoom, zoom,
sure,
zoom, zoom. Tournament night, nobody's really on fish. They're all trying to find fish. But we finished 8th.
Okay.
We finished 8th out of 23 Big 20 teams.
Gotcha.
But man, I tell you what, we had 278 pounds for 8th. Eric Coggin and his team came in with a boat full of buffs.
Really?
Yeah. They were the only team I think that shot 20 buffs.
Oh,
they had more than that too in there. They had more than that. But they weighed in. They took first with 494 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, they whooped up on everybody.
Wow. So they were on something.
They were on something. Yep.
That's cool.
But it was kind of cool. So there was 47 teams, boats that showed up for the tournament there, which is really good for a state tournament. 14 of those were in the hobby class this weekend.
Oh, really? Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
We were talking about that a couple podcasts ago.
Right. There was 14 boats in the hobby class.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Hopefully that hobby class, then those 14, and then in 5 years from now, you'll be like, hey, I remember when those guys were in the hobby class, and they're still shooting tournaments now.
I think nine of them came back to weigh in. 5 were no-shows for weigh-in, but
sure.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's neat. That's very neat. Just you talking about this, Matt, it kind of sounds like you guys are running all over the place tournament night, correct? I mean, are you guys just running all over?
Yeah.
Lots of travel.
Yep.
Do you have any kind of process or anything that you do to try to stay alert all night long? I mean, does it just come natural, the adrenaline of the tournament? Does that fuel you, or do you try to?
Yeah, I mean, you have dry spells where you're driving around for an hour and a half. You're just staring at the ground. You haven't seen a fish.
Yeah. How do you maintain focus?
You have to. You just have to, because if you're not focused and you're,
that's when freaking old Big Mama's going to swim.
Not even a big one, but just a decent one that could bump you up. 5 spots, 5 positions.
Right.
If you're not ready, you're not ready.
Yeah.
So it's just, and talking to the guys on the boat, just making small talk, just staying awake a little bit, taking a break. You need to take breaks. We took breaks and sat down and had some drinks and had some venison sausage and some crackers and stuff and whatnot. You got to take breaks.
Yeah.
You got to take breaks. But you do need, even though it's slow, you still need to be focused, because if you're not, you could miss a fish that's just out of the lights there. You might not be paying as much attention to when you first started.
Sure.
And there's laying say a 23-pound common laying up there. Well, that could really bump you up some spots, right there.
Right. Just because I know a couple times I've shot a couple tournaments with you. It's been a couple of years though, and even just when we're out doing our photo days or whatnot, I can totally tell mentally myself if we're on a body of water and we're not shooting fish consistently, like you said, you're going around, you're looking, you're traveling over the place.
You get bored.
Well, not that, but I can tell that when the opportunity does come. I don't know if I build it up in my mind too much, but I'm a way better shot when you're, and maybe this is obvious, but when you're in some kind of consistent
rhythm.
fish and in a rhythm, that's a good word for it. When you're in a rhythm, it's night and day difference.
Totally.
But when we're picking them off here once every 30, 40, 50 minutes, boy, I'm struggling to hit that fish. I'm like, what is going on? Then you have 30 or 40 minutes to think about how bad that previous shot was. Then pretty soon it's a mind game.
Yep.
At least that's what I've experienced. I was just curious. Doubt. You said you were running around. I'm like, how the hell did those guys stay focused like that?
You just have to.
Yeah.
You just have to.
I guess repetition and doing it a lot.
You can go back to the boat landing at 3:00 and call it and take a nap till weigh-ins or go home.
Right.
But,
Yeah. Okay.
I don't care to do that.
Right.
So
in it to win it, baby.
We knew we were in it to win it, but I'm still going to stick around.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. That's cool.
Yep. Then also coming up in 11 days, Schmitty, is the Bowfishing Association of America's World's Tournament over in Michigan.
Nice.
That's coming up. Wendy and her husband Keith from AMS Bowfishing will be over there with a booth, so you can stop by and buy some gear. They're going to have a bunch of stuff there for you to buy. We donated a bunch of stuff over there, Megamouth and AMS. I know some of our bows that we donated are going up for the. I wanted them to go for the kids.
Oh, okay, sure.
For some of the youth shooters, 17 years or younger. 11 days, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of you all heading over there to Michigan, so best of luck scouting. Be safe.
Yeah.
And like I always say, just have a good time.
Absolutely.
Have a good time. Enjoy tournament atmosphere.
Yeah. Yep, that's very cool.
Yep.
Next item on the agenda here, Matt. We've been doing the discount codes here recently.
Yeah.
We got another one for you guys. Of course, we're going to run it here for 6-7 days, so make sure to take advantage of it. And I think along with, say, let's see what we got here. Say a gaff or, say, a line puller. This is an underrated tool.
No doubt.
In a bowfisherman's arsenal. We include them on a ton of our products here at AMS.
Yep.
But our 4-in-1 clamp and quiver for your arrow. We got her on display here. It now comes with tip holders. It's got spots for Allen wrenches on it. And, of course, the ever so important area to snap that arrow into place.
Yeah.
I just know there's been a couple times when we've been out and about, especially in the Megamouth side of things earlier on, where we did not have a clamp and quiver on there.
Right.
You know what happens? After you're bouncing around on the lake, you go grab your bow, and you have yourself a tangled mess. And you take the next 5-10 minutes trying to untangle it, or you're cutting line. But yeah, so that is what the discount code is going to be for. 20% off our 4-in-1 clamp and quiver, and that code is, now listen carefully, there's a lot of numbers and letters here. So the code is 4-in-1 CQ20. Okay, so it's going to be 4-in-1 Clamp and Quiver 20% is what that is. But it is the individual numbers. Okay, it's going to be the number 4, I, N, the number 1, CQ20. 4 in 1, CQ20.
Sorry.
No, that's no problem. You're just talking too much. We're talking too much.
I had a frog.
We got to get it. We got a little call. We got to get cough buttons on here that you can press so that it just mutes the microphone.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, guys, make sure to take advantage of that code discount, 20% off our Clamp and Quiver. 4 in 1, CQ20.
Mm-hmm. Handy little add to your arsenal.
Absolutely.
Comes in great.
And something, too, I know that we talk about this a lot, but that tip holder.
Yeah.
You say you got to replace a tip. No more running to the back of the boat and trying to dig in a tackle box or something. Boom, boom, boom. You got 3 of them right there waiting for you to pop them in there, ready to rock and roll.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Schmitty, I drove down to Nashville for the Bass Pro U.S. Open, had the booth there, and
I'm giggling at this next topic.
I tell you what, I just had to bring this up because I'm just curious if a lot of you listeners out there deal with this when you're driving on the interstates. I don't. What are they teaching people in driver's ed these days? It just blows my mind. What in the hell is wrong with you people, some of you?
I think once you reach the age of like 35, you should have to take another driver's test just to maintain your license because it is wild. It is wild sometimes.
The thing that absolutely drives me boggly when I'm on these trips is somebody driving 65 in the left lane on the interstate that's 3 lanes wide or 2 lanes wide, and they're driving 65.
Yeah.
And they do not move over.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There's signs in that lane that say slower traffic, keep to the right. Move over.
I hear you. I hear you. Yeah, it is crazy.
Oh my gosh. Drives me nuts. I just had to bring that up because like I said, retake driver's ed or move your butt over in the right lane where it belongs.
I specifically remember in high school, we had to take it. We had a summer class where we took driver's ed. If your birthday was before a certain date, you had to take it in the summer so that you'd be eligible to take your driver's test in those first couple months of school. It was something like that. And having a September birthday, I was in there.
Yep.
And I forget the name of the guy who did it, but he doesn't do it anymore. And he was an older guy. And I remember specifically him saying, if you're driving the speed limit or lower on the interstate, you better be in the right lane because if I find out, I'm not going to let you get your license. Yeah. He would make that a very prominent point.
That's a good instructor right there.
Yep.
And obviously that instructor has not thrown his teaching lessons on to other instructors.
Yeah. I remember him saying that. And that same deal. And especially even when we're on trips and stuff, it's amazing how we'll be, it won't even be like there's a lot of traffic like somebody's got to get over. And all of a sudden you pull up behind someone going slow in the left lane. There's not another car for 3 miles ahead or behind you. And you're like, okay. So then we end up getting in the right lane and going around them in the right lane. It's like, well, that's not how this is supposed to work.
Yep.
Yeah. That's funny. I saw that on the list here. I'm like, oh boy. Yep. We're about to trigger Matt here.
People drive better on the water than they do on the interstate. I tell you, it's crazy.
Yep.
But we got here in Wisconsin, the weather's kind of been a little
it's
up and down and crazy
goofy
and gloomy and rainy and cold and windy and warm, and it's just been all over the place, Schmitty. And we looked at the calendar here for coming up next couple of days. Looks like it should be warming up, but then we got rain, thunderstorms, windy
days,
just crazy.
Just
so
for reference for everybody, not in Wisconsin. I think it was just last week Sunday, Matt. We woke up to there was snow on the ground.
Yeah,
there was a dusting of snow. I don't know what day it was last week. It was like 75 degrees. We had snow, and 4 days later, it was 75, 76 degrees and sunny. That's how up and down this been. And you said the water temperature was cold this past weekend. That's got to come up a bunch before we really start getting into, spawning fish and whatnot. So it's been, you're right, it's been crazy. Wacky.
And then, like I said, when it's supposed to start warming up, then it drops right back down to the 50s again for a long stretch.
Yeah,
so
you have a high of 76, but then the low is 51 at night. Right. So you're having,
goofy.
Yeah, strange.
Goofy.
I want it to get warm.
So, like I said, to all of you that are going to be heading over to the BAA Worlds over in Michigan, drive safe, best of luck, be safe on the water, find those fish, and make sure to shoot a goldfish for Schmitty.
Oh, come on. You had to bring that back up again. Yeah. I don't know. I've seen a couple of them on Instagram. People will tag us in pictures, and I don't know if it's because I'm watching for them more, but I'll be like, Billy Bob over here, that's his third one in the last 2 weeks. Come on. Let a straggler swim past me sometime. I've never even seen one.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, I would love to shoot a goldfish.
They're pretty awesome.
Yeah, that would be cool. That would be cool. Yeah, if you guys shoot any goldfish, send us some pictures so I can just sit and be like, oh.
Derek can sit and drool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Hey, Derek, what are you doing? Quick close out of a screen on my computer. Nothing. I'm getting to work here.
Just kind of like you had a centerfold up on your screen and you had a goldfish up on your screen.
Yeah.
You had to click it off.
Yeah. Yep.
When I was, this is actually kind of funny. When I was down at the Bass Pro store for the tournament there, we had our booth set up there and all that stuff.
Yeah.
A couple guys came in and they're like, "Oh man," he says, that bubbly gut story that you guys are telling, that is cracking up. The old So they actually liked the old bubbly gut story there.
That was just 2 weeks ago, correct? On our podcast?
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
So it was kind of funny because when we were driving home from this past weekend's tournament down in Castle Rock, we were driving home. Al Brusky and I were driving home. He goes like, "Yeah," he says, "that was pretty funny, that story." He says, "But you remember that poopy story?"
Oh, boy. We got another one?
Yeah, he goes, "You remember that poopy story when we shot that first Castle Rock tournament?" I was like, "Oh, that's right. I totally forgot about that." I said, "We'll have to have Al Brusky on to help us along with that story."
That would be an entertaining podcast. Yeah, having Al on, that'd be good. I'm guessing if you could go back and remember, Mom, I'm guessing you got a handful of number 2 stories. Got all kinds of them. This is how whenever we're out on the water, and Matt, you won't be able to, you'll see it on the video portion, but I'll explain it audio. Whenever Matt goes like this with his arm, he goes, "Hey." He goes, "Hey, Schmitty." Yeah, Matt, what's up? All he does is he lifts his forearm like this, and every single hair on his arm is just reaching for the ceiling. Every single one of them is standing straight up. That means that he needs to visit the bathroom. I don't know how your body does that. That doesn't happen to me. I've never heard of it before. Yeah. But it looks like you're like touching something electrical, and it's like they're just all standing straight up. I'm like, oh boy, we got to find a bathroom ASAP.
That's right.
It's crazy.
Yep. That's funny. All right, so
enough with the poopy talk.
Enough with the other bowfishing talk. I think it's time to give the champion, the $30,000 richer Lance Brantley, a call. Right after this break, Schmitty.
All right, sounds good.
This is Megamouth. It's the first free spooling spin cast style bowfishing reel. It's ready to shoot. No button to push.
Yes.
You engage the reel by pulling the T-bar. Megamouth is built for bowfishing. It's tough. Dual stainless steel and brass gears. 3 heavy-duty axial pins. A no-fail anti-reverse. An unmatched 28 inches of line per crank. And a 3-year warranty. Megamouth, the professional bowfishing reel.
And welcome back to the Bowfishing Buzz, brought to you by AMS Bowfishing and
Megamouth Bowfishing as well.
All right, Schmitty, let's give the captain, Lance Brantley, on-track bowfishing a call here and let him tell us a story about his adventures down there at the U.S. Open.
Let's do it.
What's going on, Lance Brantley?
How's it going, Mr. Matthew?
We are doing awesome. Welcome to the Bowfishing Buzz. Of course, Matthew here and my good buddy Derek Schmidt on the other side over there.
Hey, Lance.
Yes, sir. How's it going?
Going good.
We are doing well, and I bet you are doing very well as well there.
I cannot complain. Buddy.
Yeah.
Been blessed.
First off, Lance, just huge congratulations. How cool is that to you and your teammates on that huge win? That's pretty awesome.
Absolutely. David Waddell, yourself, Noah Brewer, man, hats off, man. That's a huge win for you guys. Congratulations.
Oh, it's a dream come true. It don't even feel real, honestly.
That's really cool.
We're still waiting on that last boat to come in and knock us out.
Yep.
Well, Lance, I want to get started. I was reading one of your Facebook posts a couple days after the tournament there, and I would like you to kind of reflect and go back on that story about 5 years ago when you bought your first bowfishing boat and the first tournament that you competed in. Can you tell us about that, Lance?
Man, I was about as fresh as you could get into bowfishing, that's for sure. I didn't really have a clue what it was about, how competitive it was. I grew up fishing with my dad. We had a lot of Asian carp in this area, so we seen silvers everywhere. And I thought, man, this is just more of a who can hit what and put them in the boat. I bought the boat, and I think I bought it on a Thursday. There happened to be a big tournament there on that Saturday. The state actually put it on. They were promoting, basically just trying to promote people to shoot the Asian carp. You know, they're evasive and they're kind of overtaking our waterways. And I thought, man, I'll jump in there, throw some buddies together, and see what we can do. Maybe we get lucky and win a little money. And, oh, dude, we went out that night. It happened to be the weather got horrible. A tornado came through.
Ooh.
We ended up had to go in a little creek bed area. Kind of took shelter, and it got lucky. It hopped over us. Nobody got hurt, and thankfully, and all that good stuff. But by morning, we basically didn't have hardly any fish at all. We barely shot anything. Didn't know what we were doing. And I thought, well, we'll show up and just kind of see, you know, this tornado. I bet a lot of people went home and whatnot. But anyhow, we show up the weigh-in, and once we got in line, there was no getting out. And we had like 38 pounds of fish. There was guys
Wow.
unloading under 1,000 pounds.
Oh, wow.
The actual descaling, which you guys know well, great team. I didn't know anybody at the time. They were the boat that so happens to be in front of us, and they unload. Man, I could be lying, but I want to say somewhere between 1,200 to maybe 1,500 pounds of fish.
Oh.
and you got, you know, the cameras and the lineup, the people watching this big show, and everybody unloading. Here we are unloading like 5-6 fish. I was like, man, this here is pretty humbling, pretty embarrassing situation. But that was kind of the beginning of it. We've been at them pretty hard ever since.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
and correct me if I'm wrong, Lance, but wasn't that like Kentucky, like the Game and Fish putting that tournament on, and they made it a really big thing? I mean, they, like you said, they had the TV crews down and local news networks down or newspaper articles and stuff, and it was a total weight tournament, correct?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
I think they did 2 divisions. They did like a lake division and a river division. I think we had them jump in the river division.
Right.
Gotcha.
But you know, look at that. You know, 5 years ago is when that happened to you, Lance. And
yes, sir.
And like you said, you like, oh, we're just going to go out and have fun, and we can shoot fish. You know, we can shoot fish. And then, like you said, how humbling that is coming back into weighins and seeing that. But you guys stuck with it. You know, you guys stuck with it, and that's what's really cool to stick with it and put your nose to the grindstone, I guess, a little bit.
Did you ever think?
We did. Now, that wasn't the same crew that I was shooting with. I just happened to grab some buddies. So, you know, as it revolved, David Waddell, I actually shot with him on his team, Knock Deep, which was a great team. They kind of took me in when I first started kind of getting serious about it. And I learned a lot from them guys, and there was nothing ever against them. I just kind of, when you do something, I was kind of the new guy in, so I just kind of went with everybody's flow. And more than anything, I kind of just wanted to do my own thing and try my own stuff and do things a little different. And man, I just, with time, I guess that was probably 2.5 years ago. So I shot with him a couple seasons, and then I went out on my own. That's when I put Noah on board. Noah just happened to be a local boy here in my area. He was, I had been following him on Facebook. He'd post fish every now and then, and I knew that he was above average, and he never, you know, a lot of guys are really bad about kind of putting too much on Facebook, kind of showing the area, stuff like that. And talking a little too much, but that's not really his MO. He's always pretty quiet, and he seemed like the kind of kid you'd want on your team. And I just so happened, I think he actually called me on tracking a deer, and I got to talk to him personally that night and kind of started a conversation there. And with time, we talked more and ended up putting a team together.
Wow, that's pretty cool. That's really cool.
Lance, let me ask you this. A couple years back here, when you weighed in 38 pounds of fish at a tournament, would if someone came up to you and said, hey, in a couple of years, you know, you're going to win the Bass Pro US Open, what would you have said to that?
I wouldn't have believed that, that's for sure. Or it'd be a very lucky night.
Yeah. Lance, I've got a note here that you love chasing big heads. Why do you like chasing big heads so much?
Man, the size for one, and I felt like they're kind of totally different. You got to be more stealthy. It's kind of like hunting big game in a way, in my opinion.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, it's a fun.
And I like it because, like you said, Lance, it's stealthy. You don't have the generators on. It's quiet. It's kind of peaceful.
Right.
But yet it's exciting because you never know what you're going to run into.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
and like you said, they're so unpredictable when they're going to come up, when they're going to go down. Are they going to stay up for 4 hours? Are they going to stay up for 2 hours? Are they going to stay up for an hour and a half?
Mm-hmm.
They're so unpredictable,
And that's what's really drew us in. I mean, trying to predict the unpredictable,
yes,
and learn the little variables and little things that make these fish come up and go down, or what their food source may be. I mean, that's what's made it really fun for me, is just studying the big heads, mainly big heads, much as anything. It's been a fun ride.
Right. Yep. And you already kind of went on your teammates and how you picked them. But one thing that about teammates, Lance, is, keeping your mouth shut goes a long way as well.
That is absolutely. I mean, especially in our area, it's so competitive,
right?
And there's so many people doing it. I mean, you release one spot and you go in there to shoot it, and there's another boat sitting on it. It's not going to end well. I mean,
yep,
it's hard enough to compete, much less trying to compete on the same spot as someone else.
Exactly. And when I look at like Dennis Redden, Dennis, I've shot with Dennis for several years. It was Dennis, his son, and his son's friend Damien. That was it on their team. Once in a great while, they would have somebody else come in and shoot, but other than that, it was those three and those three only. It took me 4 years before they let me shoot with them guys. Yeah. And when I shot with them, we didn't go to the spots that they normally would have shot. It took a long time. And that's what it takes to be a good team, a good competitive team, a team that you can trust.
Yeah.
It does. And we took a lot of notes from Dennis. I mean, Dennis, he definitely kind of took me in with time. And just like you're saying, he's not going to, you're not just going to go jump in the boat and shoot Dennis's best spot.
Right.
I mean, that's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And he would tell us things without telling us things. I mean, he helped me a lot. Talking about team and stuff like you're saying. I mean, quiet people and don't be team hopping a lot. And right. I mean, because every time you hop teams, you're exposing spots and stuff of that sort. And I mean, Dennis was definitely a big influence on everything we done success wise. I mean, he was a big part of that for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Cool. Mm-hmm. So Lance, did you do a bunch of scouting tonight at the tournament? How did that all go for you?
Man, this tournament here, it was definitely, we were blessed to have it in our area. I think the year before it was in Missouri. Coming to Nashville, that gave us the opportunity to fish some of our waters and still be able to make it all come together.
Yeah.
The biggest thing for us is it was coming early. We knew weather-wise, we was hoping it was going to be hot and that these big heads were going to be up. So we felt like we had a kind of advantage if that was the case. So we actually started scouting 7 days prior to the tournament.
Wow.
For one, we didn't know if they would be up, and if they were up, how consistent they would be.
Right.
We were blessed enough. We found some early, probably midweek, and then that's when the nerves hit. It's like, hey, are they going to stay up? We're trying to scout more spots and kind of put our plan together, play our safety, and have A, B, and C plan, because you know how bow fishing is. It seems like you end up on C a lot.
Right. Absolutely.
So we kind of put a run together and stayed on them, and we was running more water, but the fish that we wanted to be up were up. I mean, as far as the size average, we knew they would be very competitive fish if we could put them in the boat on Saturday night.
Really cool.
And so once Saturday came, there was definitely a lot of emotions. It was shaping up not in our favor either. The variables we kind of watched was not good. I mean, it wasn't really what I would call a big head night.
Right.
So we were definitely sick at the stomach leaving that day. That's for sure.
Really? Wow. Lance, did you see? One thing that when I'm scouting, one thing that you always worry about is other teams finding the fish that you see, or they might see that you're in an area, you know. That's always got to cross your mind too. Did you see any other boats in the area and stuff like that?
We did. We had seen other boats.
Okay.
We didn't know for sure if they had found them or not. The fish were pretty scarce. They wouldn't just up and just anywhere. There were certain areas.
Yep.
So that was another thing, you know, we knew that we had seen them, but we didn't know who all had seen them and who all was going to take the risk, because we knew it was a pretty good gamble to go after them. I mean, you know, like you talk about big heads. I mean, they're so fidgety. Yep. You know, one change and you're sitting out there looking at water and don't have a fish to shoot.
Right. Yep.
So the night of the tournament when we seen the first one and thought, man, it's you know, it's a big relief just because you know that if you find one, there's probably going to be more. And
sure,
it was definitely a big relief to see him on Saturday night.
I bet. I know you touched on it a little bit, Lance, but I want to go back to tournament day. All right, all these bow fishermen and some really, really, really good teams
at a big venue.
Huge venue. Yeah. You're downtown Nashville, the Bass Pro store there. People walking all over the place. You got vendors all over the place. How you feeling?
Man, I learned a long time ago. It definitely can be humbling looking around at all the amount of boats, not knowing what everybody else is on.
Right.
But we kind of, I just look at it. I just try to get that out of my head. I'm just worried about, you know, is our fish going to be up, and if we can put them in a boat. That's our challenge. I don't worry about anybody else on the water. Don't get me wrong. I do know there was plenty of competitive teams that could bring in a lot of good weight.
Right.
I mean, you got Tommy Woods. I mean, that guy, he goes all over, and it impresses me how he can go so many different states and be so competitive, and he's very good at what he does.
Yep.
And you had more guys like Tommy, the de-scaling team. Obviously, they kick our tail pretty regular around here. So when you're going against them, you know you better do your homework and have a good plan. And so, I mean, we were definitely worried about them boys just like we were everybody else, but we just kind of look at it like, man, you know, you run your water and you try to find your biggest average that you can put in the boat. And I guess more or less we just kind of focus on that and hope everything works out. We can put them in the boat.
You bet.
So that's tournament day there, Lance. All right, let's jump to the tournament night. Walk us through that.
I'm curious to know, Lance, of how long you were on the water before you saw like your first big head, you know?
Man, that night, and it's something else a lot of people don't know, I actually got sick the night of the tournament.
Oh, really?
Man, that shows you good teammates, because they had to definitely pick up some slack for me and put the fish in the boat, because there was a time in the night I had to actually lay down. I was so sick.
No kidding.
Actually, I'm just now getting over it, man. I don't know what I got, some kind of bug, but man,
you didn't have a case of the bubbly gut, did you?
Oh no,
man, I ain't gonna lie and not say I wasn't nervous, but no, it was. I don't know. Actually, Noah had come around with the bug and scouting that week.
Oh,
and it had him down a night also. He had to leave the water, but man, it hit me that as we were leaving the tournament, man, my energy just went to nothing. Felt bad, kind of lightheaded, and on top of, I'm sure, you know, being run down with no sleep, your immune system was already low, so it was kind of a double-edged sword that night. It wasn't good, but as a matter of fact, at one time when the fish were up, I pretty well was almost puking as I was reeling a fish in.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, geez, that takes the fun out of it.
Oh man, it was. You know, I told my partners, and they knew when I laid down, especially on a tournament like that, that I wasn't feeling too hot. And I kind of got my wind back, got back on the deck, and I was like, well, I guess if I'm going to go, this would be a good way to go. And none of them even laughed. So I was like, man, they are worried about me a little bit. But far as the night, I mean, I want to say the beginning of the night was the best part. I want to say the fishing got a little tougher after midnight.
Okay.
So pretty well immediately we were on fish.
Oh, nice.
They weren't easy to get in the boat though. They were super spooky. I mean, very, very flashlight sensitive. I mean, you didn't have but a second. Once the light hit them, they were gone.
No kidding.
Wow.
So it was kind of nerve wracking because we had missed a few good fish right out of the gate just because they were so spooky and everybody was a little bit rusty too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it was pretty nerve wracking there, especially the beginning. Once we got a few fish in the boat, of course you always feel a little better, but you don't want to waste any time either because you don't know what everybody else is doing or what they could be setting on. So
right.
So you just kind of just keep grinding, and it don't seem, you think when you're going to be bow fishing all night, like, man, it's going to take forever, but the nights just seem to fly by pretty fast.
Mm-hmm. Yep. What was the biggest fish that you shot, Lance? You guys have shot? What was the size, weight?
It was, I think a little under 60 pounds.
Okay.
It was, I don't know exactly. I want to say 57 if I'm not.
Okay.
I want to say that's what it was on their scales. It probably lost a few pounds by the time we weighed it.
Sure.
The tournament.
So just curious, a fish, that's a hell of a fish to get in the boat on tournament night. So just curious, when you guys get that fish in the boat, I'm guessing you put a couple backup shots into it. You don't want to lose it. You get it in the boat. Sure. Is there any woohoo, high fives, or is it right back to business?
Man, we don't even know who shot that fish.
There you go. There you go. That's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of how fast it goes. When you're kind of in that tournament mode, you don't even pay any attention.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
Wow.
It's funny how that works, I mean, don't get me wrong, through some of these tournaments, we've had those high five moments.
Yeah.
In this one, I mean, it was just kind of a grind. I mean, we threw a backup early when it got in the boat and hop back on the next, try to get the next one.
You're so much in that mode of getting back up and getting more fish and keep looking that you just boom in the barrel and away you go.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Absolutely.
That's cool. Yeah, that means you guys were engaged, focused, ready to kill.
Yeah. Here's one thing that I found really interesting, Lance, is it's a big 20. You guys did not have 20 big heads, did you?
We did not.
Right. What would you have some silvers packed in there too with your big heads?
Yeah, we had some silvers. I think maybe a buffalo or something.
Okay.
Something just to add any weight we could, with our fish.
Right. Yep. Now, and kind of going back. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, it seemed like that night. Once the fish started going down, they all went down.
Really?
So,
yep.
The big heads, the silvers, the whole 9 yards. And once we kind of recognized they were getting scarce, so we're like, man, let's just start, whatever we can put in the boat, let's try to get it in the boat. So that's what we did.
What did you guys end up with 14 bigs?
I think it was.
Okay.
I think it was 14 big heads.
All right, cool. So Sunday morning, you're driving back to weigh-ins. I know how that is, where everybody's texting each other, calling each other. How you feeling heading back to Nashville for weigh-ins?
I was sleeping like a rock.
Were you really?
I was. I'm not gonna lie, man. I mean, I was feeling so bad, and I went down. I went down hard. I ain't gonna lie.
Oh, so you're still not feeling well heading back to weigh-ins?
Yeah.
Really?
I still wouldn't. I mean, I kind of got a second wind, of course. I'm sure adrenaline. We started hearing some of the other weights. We knew.
Yep.
We knew we had a good shot at it. At the time, we hadn't heard anything better than what we had. We had talked to some good teams. And we thought, man, are we going to actually win this thing? And, I think they took the top 20 boats, kind of put us all aside. And,
right.
And there was another boat we knew had some weight. I think it was the
Pug's Uglies. Yes. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And them boys, they had some great buffalo. I mean, some very good fish. And I actually, man, I ain't gonna lie, I kind of sold my team out. I was just kind of kicked back, sick, and they went and started weighing fish, kind of get an idea what we had. And I think they spoke with that team, and we thought we had them a little bit. But man, we played this game before, and until everybody puts them on a scale and weighs them, you never know for sure. So.
Right.
We were still it was still a nerve wracking. You had so many boats still coming in to weigh in and stuff. So it was definitely nerve wracking up to the end.
Right. One thing that I want to touch on here that some people that have never shot in a Bass Pro tournament is what they do is they got a lot of people that come walking through and looking at to see what the fish that you have, kind of, you tell them kind of idea of what you think you have for weight-wise. And they'll take the top boats that they think are going to finish in the top 20 or so, or some of the 20, best weights. And they'll make you go park in a different parking area away from everybody else. And they'll hold you to kind of keep it a little more interesting as it gets to closing time, So when you are picked as one of those boats to go sit in that area to park, you're feeling damn good about yourself. You're feeling good.
Yeah, they kind of told everybody ahead of time that they would do that, so we were somewhat prepared for it. So when we definitely wanted to be sitting in that side of the lot.
Yeah,
we were, that was already an accomplishment once they pulled us off and threw us over there. So we were happy about that, and obviously everybody's kind of trying to figure out what everybody has, and we were still kind of holding. So we're like, man, it's looking good so far.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
So Lance, let me ask you this. At what point during this entire process, you're back at weigh-ins, this big venue, boats everywhere, people everywhere. At what point during all this did you go, oh my gosh, we got just as good a shot to win this as anybody? I mean, was it right up until you weighed in, or did you kind of have like a, oh my gosh moment at some point at weigh-ins?
Man, I think I was still in shock.
Okay.
To be honest. I mean, that and man, we've had so many tournaments that we were right on the edge of winning. So you kind of remember those, and you don't want to get too excited until it's time. And I mean, I guess it was when we were actually holding the check, getting our pictures taken. It was like, man, this is real.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, very cool. Oh, very cool. And just so everybody knows that this wasn't a fluke that you guys won. You guys didn't just stumble across this win. You've got some big wins. You won the Cajun 8 last year with bigs. I think you placed in the top 3 at the Muzzy Classic last year. Is that correct, Lance?
I don't think we did the last Muzzy.
But you shot the biggest overall fish, I think, is what it was.
Yeah, that was I want to say 3 Muzzies ago. We took big fish, and that happened to be a big hit. Now I think we did place top 10 the last time we had shot the Muzzy.
Yep.
But we, as far as the big fish, I want to say that was possibly 3 years ago.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken.
All right. So,
but the Cajun, we were definitely honored to be able to do good in that one. That's another, I think that's a 70+ boat tournament.
Right. Yep.
So we were pretty excited about that one also.
And I've seen the pictures of some of the bigs that you have shot, so you know what you're doing. You guys and your team, David and Noah, you guys know what you're doing. You've got it down to science. So that's really cool. So this wasn't a fluke that you guys just stumbled across this. You guys put in your work, you put in the hours, and you put in the years, not only that night, but the years all leading up to this. So that's what's really cool. One thing
rewarding for sure.
Absolutely. You bet. One thing that I see a lot of questions on, and I get a lot of people asking about what people do on teams is, how do you split the earnings on this? How do you split the earnings with the teammates? Is the boat a member of the teammate? Does he get some kickback on it?
Sure.
So just curious of, what you guys as a team decide to do on something like this here, Lance.
Man, we split it all pretty well equally.
There you go.
I'm the so-called captain of the team, but I mean, realistically, we don't have a captain. I mean, somebody has to take that script. We all work together. We make our decisions together. Everybody scouts hard. They all know what they're doing.
Yep.
I mean, these boys you couldn't ask for any better teammates. I mean, they're not afraid to work. There's never any arguments. That's, I think, a big thing. We make sense of what we see and then base our decisions off that.
Cool.
And I mean, I feel like that's as good as you can do, and there's tournaments that we go to that it don't work out, and we just have a plan before we get there, and A, B, and C, and sometimes it still don't put you where you need to be, but you did everything you can to do, compete at your fullest, and that's just kind of how we play our game. We don't cry about the spilt milk when it don't go right, and just try to make sense of things.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
That's really
that's
cool.
How you got to have it.
You do.
Yeah,
you do.
Yeah.
I know there's some teams, we'll put a couple extra $100 or depending on what we win, towards the boat if the boat needs any repairs and stuff like that there, which I'm sure you guys do all that stuff as well, you know. Yep.
Yeah. And we scout so much, you know, like Waddell, he don't have as flexible schedule as Noah and I. Noah, he normally has Fridays off, so Waddell, he's got to take his time on these bigger tournaments, you know. And
sure.
So his boat probably runs the less. And don't get me wrong, he does plenty of scouting and puts his time in. But we normally take his boat just because it's probably going to be one of the most reliable, you know, compared to mine. I'm always on the water, and if there's going to be a breakdown, the odds of it breaking down is going to be higher than the rest. So
Yep.
We normally shoot out of his boat during tournament night.
Gotcha. Cool.
Gotcha.
You have any other big tournament? Oh, go ahead, Lance. I'm sorry.
We do try to help each other out as far as, you know, maintenance and whatever. You know, if I have an issue, these guys they're willing to jump and do whatever we need to do to get something back on the road.
Yeah. Cool. You have any other big tournaments coming up, Lance?
Man, our next one we're focused on is a Kentucky State shoot. It's going to be coming up here in, I think, 3 weeks or so. I think that'll probably be the next one we shoot as of right now.
Okay. Gotcha. So you're a big bow fisher. You love chasing these big heads. I was fortunate enough to bowfish with you. Dennis kind of put me in contact with you a little bit over the last couple of years down there. But you also have a really, really unique and cool, I don't know if I should even call it a side job, Lance, with on-track tracking. You have, from what I've heard, like one of the best tracking dogs in that like whole area down there, Lance. Just want to tell everybody a little bit about that? That's pretty, I mean, it's really cool. And I've seen some of the pictures of some of the deer that you have helped recover. These things are some absolute giants. Yeah. You know, I mean, it's pretty cool.
Man, it's been a pretty cool deal. You know, it's kind of a business that happened on accident. I was a avid deer hunter myself, having to make a bad shot on a really good deer, and I had hired a guy and to do exactly what I'm doing. He was the only one at the time that I knew even doing it. And before that, I had trained a dog to do it, and she was decent, but she wasn't what I'd want to, you know, do it commercially with.
Yeah. Yep.
And anyhow, at the time, I didn't have a dog of my own, and I called this guy, and man, he couldn't even get to me till like the next day, and the demand was so high. I mean, he was running around everywhere. I thought, man, I'd like to get back into that. I used to be a hunting guide, and I grew up around dogs, and my dad and grandpa, they were all big, you know, either coon hunters, or my dad, he's a quail hunter. He has actually probably 20 pointing dogs as we speak.
Wow. Jeez.
But so I kind of had a foot in the door with the dogs, and I was like, man, I'm going to get into this. And just by luck, I wanted a bloodhound because, you know, and they're not actually the best track dogs. I mean, they're built for it, and one of the best, don't get me wrong. There's plenty of other breeds that are really good. But in my head, I was thinking, man, I want a bloodhound. That's just what you think when you think blood trailing.
Yep.
My wife actually had found one, and just like on a yard sale page, and there were some pups for sale locally, and I grabbed one. We named him Hank, a little male bloodhound, and I can't take credit for it. He was just naturally good, and until I, you know, later on down the road messing with other dogs, I really didn't know what I have. I mean, he's definitely a beast. I mean, he loves the track, and he's made a heck of a reputation for himself.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You kind of told me, like, from the months of like September to just say the end or middle of November. I mean, you're in the woods probably more than you are anything else, right? And tracking for people.
It's crazy, man. I've been blessed with it, like I said, and we have grown it. I threw some other people on board, and they have some dogs that are doing great. But me personally and the crew that helps me, it's not uncommon for us to work, you know, 20 hours a day, you know, 6-7 days in a row.
Wow.
I mean, you're literally living out of your truck. I mean, we go all over the country chasing these wounded deer.
Jeez. I bet you can really tell when the rut's on.
Yeah, you're getting – the phone will let you know when the deer are rutting.
Right, exactly, yeah.
The only bad thing about the deer tracking is you like to hunt yourself. You got to kind of just forget about it.
Sure.
You don't get no time yourself.
Wow. I just wanted to throw that in there because it's a cool thing that you do down there, and you and your dog are like the best down in that area. And
man, I'm sorry, go ahead.
And what I want to say is, what that goes to show you is Lance does a lot of work with his dog and his deer tracking. He puts his heart and soul into it, and he's one of the best down there. Yeah. I mean, people call him for a reason. Mm-hmm. Now you put that with bow fishing. All those years, from 5 years ago until just recently winning $30,000 and taking first place, you put your heart and soul into bow fishing for big heads and learning them and trying to figure them out. And that's the same thing. It kind of goes hand in hand. Yeah. Yeah. So that's really cool, Lance. I mean, that's pretty awesome. And once again, a big hats off to you and your team, David Waddell and Noah Brewer, for winning that tournament, and especially this was your first tournament competing as the AMS Pro staffer as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It was a good luck start, man.
You bet.
Appreciate that.
That was awesome. Very awesome. And
we were definitely putting them TNT reels to work.
There we go. Good deal.
There you go. Yep. Well, how cool is that? Well, Lance, we're going to let you get back to work. Thank you very, very much for joining us today here on the Bowfishing Buzz podcast. It was great talking to you and telling us kind of how your tournament week went there, up to tournament night and back to weigh-ins and stuff. But big hoorah for you guys, and winning the first place in the U.S. Open. Congratulations. And, man, we wish you the best of luck the rest of the year, Lance.
Yes, sir. We sure appreciate it, buddy.
Hey, and I'm going to try to get down, and we're going to go out and chase some bigs too, I think, Lance.
You just come on down, man. We can chase them.
All right. Heck yeah, that sounds good. Well, you take care, Lance, and have a great day, man.
Thanks, Lance.
All right. You guys have a good day. See you, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
I have a confession to make.
Oh, what's your confession?
So we asked them about that big fish that they shot, 57-pound big head, okay? Mm-hmm. If I shot that big head, everybody at the damn tournament.
You're holding it.
Oh,
you're holding
God,
it, aren't
yes,
you?
Yeah. Hey. Me. Hey, you guys see that? Me. That was me. I shot that fish. I got the big one. I feel bad. He's saying it. I'm like, oh, my God. Come on. Really? I'd hold it up there. I'd grab the mic. The big. I shot the big one.
Yeah, Tim Wells is up there freaking doing all the talking and stuff. You just grab it right out of his hand. I shot this one.
Hey, everybody, we're here for the weigh-ins. Excuse me. Me, big fish, me. Derek shoot big fish. But that's so cool that they don't even remember. I mean, they're such a team.
Yeah,
environment.
Were so in tune to doing the job at hand in front of them.
Yeah, that's cool. I didn't know he was sick.
I didn't know that either.
Oh my gosh! No. Oh, that'd be the last place I want to be sick.
Because I'm texting him. I heard that they had a good night, and I'm texting them, and he'd not get back to me for a couple hours, and he'd send me, "Yeah, we're doing okay. We're sitting here in line waiting." And I'm like, "Okay, what do you got?"
Yeah,
So yeah, it was a good night for them for sure.
Yeah, that's very cool. That's very cool. Congrats again to them. That's so cool that we got them on staff and that they go out and represent us like that. Yeah. That's so cool. Yep. So cool.
And now before we close up here, Schmitty, you kind of wanted to touch on something about our future podcast moving forward here. What do we got going on, Schmitty?
So just for everybody that listens and watches the podcast, this next probably 3 to 4 weeks for us is going to be by far the busiest, craziest time of our year. Yeah. Matt's going to be bouncing around all over the place. We got to get out and do some filming stuff on ourselves for our own use, for future podcasts, Carbon TV episodes, everything. We're going to be bouncing around. We're probably going to be gone filming for a week here and there, trying to catch a buff spawn, whatever we're doing. We're going to try to film some podcasts in advance, actually. Have those ready for you guys to rock and roll. We'll update them with, current information, but we might have some interviews and stuff that we want to just get in the can for everybody. Yep. And just so everybody knows, too, just because of this wacky, crazy schedule, we might be uploading some podcasts on Tuesdays now. It might be a Tuesday or a Wednesday that we're uploading. Today is a Tuesday. We're probably going to try to get this one uploaded on a Tuesday.
Yep.
Just watch out for that. We got a bunch of them. The Big 20 is coming up here. That's pretty much,
Yep, and we're going to try to get last year's champion on there, Dallas. Maverick Riley.
You're thinking of the Dallas Mavericks. That's what you were doing. We're going to have Luka Doncic on the podcast. That's funny. But we might, with that being said, Matt, we're going to have this one out this week. Another one out in 2 weeks, and then we're going to.
Who's our guest on that one, Schmitty?
We're going to have, and it might. We have a mix of guests here. We're going to have Mallory Potter's going to be on with us. She's out east shooting. She does a bunch of awesome stuff on social media. She's shooting a Megamouth Reel. I think she's going to be a really cool interview.
Awesome.
We got Robert Blackburn that we've been talking to, and we'd like to get Maverick Riley on there. So we kind of have this collection. There might be a week where we upload, and then the next week, instead of doing the bi-weekly thing, we might upload back-to-back weeks.
We might load up a couple of them in a week.
Just because I think this is the time of year you guys are wanting to listen to the podcast the most. It's the time of year we have the most information to talk about. So just on Tuesdays and Wednesdays here, probably through the middle of June, just be on watch. We got all kinds of stuff going on there. So, yeah, it'll be fun. Oh, there it is.
Schmitty. That is going to conclude episode 59. Our next one's going to be 60, Schmitty.
That's crazy.
60. Wow.
I never thought we'd get 60.
I don't
know why, but that's cool.
I didn't either. I never thought I would be 50 years old either. Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy.
You act like you're 32 tops.
Congratulations to Lance Brantley, his teammates David Waddell, Noah Brewer, on track Bowfishing. Huge win. Huge win down at the Bass Pro US Open. 30 grand for that baby. Tournaments coming up. Best luck to all you competing in the Worlds this year. We got the Big 30 coming up here the first weekend in June. Woo-wee! It's time, Schmitty.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So from all of us from AMS Bowfishing, we wish you the best of luck. And remember, aim low
and think big. Thanks for listening, guys.